do about it. But love somebody else, you can't love us. That's for sure. So that's the way we want to do it. And we are the smooth R&B with the flavor.
Curbing Gang Violence. I'm Teresa Whitaker.
And I'm Phil Scoggins. Our viewing area has been plagued by violence, and here at WRBL, we're looking to be involved in conversations that are aimed at curbing crime.
That's why we're creating the conversation tonight in a 2-hour special where we look to find solutions to the rash of violence in the Valley.
In April of 1990, then Georgia State Senator Gary Parker of Columbus had a dire warning for the city of Columbus.
His warning made headlines. He urged Columbus to seek help on its gang problem. The name Gary Parker was frequently on the city council public agenda as a defense attorney when council met in the government center. He practiced law here for nearly 40 years. We tracked him down in the Atlanta area to learn what he saw in 1990 that perhaps the city did not.
I saw amongst young people in Columbus this fascination with boys in the hood and that whole kind of direction that things were going. It was in the height of the crack epidemic. And I could see a lot, and a lot of it is just youthful fascination. But I could see a lot of young people starting to kind of embrace and imitate and glorify what they saw as far as what gangs represented to them.
To add numbers, so we've got to work together as well, or we don't have a chance. The only way that we can effectively combat this problem is a partnership with the very communities that are targeted by these gangs.
As we examine the violence in this community, we asked ourselves, why is this happening? For some answers, we turn to Dr. J. Aleem Hood, a developmental psychologist and social worker by trade, and president and CEO of Project Rebound.
He is also certified by the state of Georgia as this judicial district's family violence interventionist. He says he's not invited to the conversations on crime prevention and violence, so we invited him.
Dr. J. Aleem Hood founded Project Rebound in 1994 to identify at-risk youth and intervene before they spiral into juvenile crime and delinquent behavior.
So many children were going to the alternative school. We said, wait a minute, why are we waiting till children to get in all this trouble? So when children start showing chronic misbehavior patterns, I start putting them out then, okay, with parent permission, and we set up Project Rebound. And we had a parent support group where we were teaching the parents how to deal with their children.
Parents were held accountable under the terms of the project.
Because many times the children were being disrespectful to their parents. So every day we had a report that the parent had to give us as to, are they saying yes ma'am and no ma'am to you? Are they in time for curfew? Are those who are not doing that, okay, we'll sign them up for our Saturday boot camp.
Dr. Hood says the school system no longer accommodates the program, so Project Rebound now works with those who are incarcerated at the Youth Detention Center who express an interest in wanting to better themselves. They devote 6 months to these youth when they're released. Here's what some of the youth said contributed to their incarceration.
The fathers are not in their lives, and the children have come from a loveless home environment. You can't raise a boy, we'll talk about boys for a moment, and every day you tell him how low down and no good his daddy is.
That's why Project Rebound also works with incarcerated fathers to help rebuild relationships with the children and their mothers. What caused this breakdown in relationships in the African American community? Dr. Hood says in order to find a solution to the violence, you must first understand how it began. He says African Americans have lost their sense of community, and not by choice. Dr. Hood says Tulsa, Oklahoma wasn't the only community in this country where African Americans thrived on their own, but was destroyed by the vestiges of racism. The Red Summer of 1919 was a violent year for prominent Black communities all across the country. He says other ethnic groups managed to hold on to their sense of community.
The East Indians, the Koreans, the Chinese have always had a separate society, meaning that they had contained self-sufficiency within their community. So even when desegregation came about, they did not give up their institutions. They did not give up Chinatowns. They didn't give up. And even today, when our Hispanic brethren come into the country, they immediately create areas of communities and their own grocery stores, their own restaurant.
Dr. Hood says before African Americans were assimilated or absorbed into the dominant culture of a society, they looked out for one another's children.
You would have neighbors standing around the school bus. I mean, that was just what the old people did who were retired. They would be around wherever the bus came. They would just be standing there. So there wasn't going to be no fights. There wasn't going to be no issues. And when you got off the bus, you got a report card, you had to show it to 5 or 10 people before you got home.
Neighbors helped discipline each other's children. He says today that extra layer of care is gone as we've become such a nomadic society. He says solving the problem of violence is going to take all hands on deck and a return to the practice of doing what's in the best interest of the child. Those hands on deck, Dr. Hood says, are needed include veterans.
Back in the day when the people went into the military, when they came out, they would come out and be Boy Scout masters. So they were working with the youth. They boast about what they've gone all over the world and all that, but right here in their own neighborhood, where are the veterans?
He says the youth also need sororities and fraternities, the Masons, the school system, and churches spending time with them. One thing they really need, though, he says, are jobs. He says, why not put some crime prevention money into hiring youth? Those jobs can't compete with what's earned on the streets, but the employment with its structure will go a long way towards teaching responsibility and respect for others.
Welcome back to Visions Now.
In our roundtable
hope that you enjoyed that. And next week, we're going to share a little bit more of that interview because I think WRBL needs an Emmy. Jay, I think they should get an Emmy for that because, again, at least, again, you can't say you don't know what to do. And you should be smart enough now. But one of my points I was trying to make is stop asking for the doggone police or the sheriff to do what the neighborhoods need to do. Okay? They say, well, what about, tell the people to put the money into the neighborhood. Just like they can give the money to the police and to the sheriff, they can give money to the neighborhood. Put you to work to hire people in your neighborhood to be responsible for keeping order in your neighborhood. Then if you can't handle it, then you get the police. But the police are not the first responders. You are your neighbors, okay, are the first responders, particularly the adult males. When they become men, I wouldn't even have to be saying this. You got too many males running around here, and these kids, they think get a gun, that makes them grown. We're just so jacked up in our mentality. But again, it's not their fault. They weren't born like this. They came into a world because we have not been responsible enough, and you can't fault other people for this. See? We should not have been so greedy and so needy. So I think they said the word of these days, Jay was so thirsty to fit in that you forgot all about. No, you can't give up your stuff. You can go to somebody else's stuff, that's fine. They give you two options, but you're going to give up your own option, and then you're going to take all your money to somebody else, somebody who disrespects you. And that's another thing, too. We're going to have a segment. We're going to talk about these merchants in our community. We need to talk about these merchants in our community that are disrespecting people. And every time I turn around, Jay, they got another liquor store coming up. They got another lotto coming up. I'm sick. I guess I'm the only one that's sick and tired of it. They got one. I'm trying to say, I'm trying to, is this the only thing you all can bring into our neighborhood? What's for the children? That's not for the children. They're going to need to start investing in programs in our neighborhood to help keep out. If the city don't give them money, these people taking our money every day, they need to start putting money into Project Rebound or some other nonprofit that understand what to do, then put our children to work in the neighborhood, then keeping it clean and straight up. Listen, we better go. I guess we better do something. By the way, let me say this before we take a break. This week's final call, that's another thing too, people. You're a slob if you don't read the final call. I don't care who you are. If you don't read the final call, I don't want to hear all that. That's the Muslim page. Ain't no dog. News ain't nobody's news. It just means that the Muslim community got enough balls, enough backbone, and enough love to try to put out some information and knowledge. This title said, taking charge of Black maternal health. Is that a problem? It goes on to say that Black women who face higher levels of complications and death while pregnant are frustrated with doctors and hospitals that do not provide the care they need. Men are looking to pursue alternatives for their birthing experiences. Listen here. You got another paper gonna tell you this? Well, okay, if you don't, then you should be reading this one. I mean, it's so sick how we do it. But again, but it's not our fault. we listen to we made the devil our God. You know what I'm saying? That's what the problem is. We need to get God back in our life. And that's another thing about it too. I listened at this city council meeting, and they say a nice prayer, beautiful prayer. Soon the prayer over, all hell jump off. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to say, you would think that they listen to the prayer and say, okay, today, that was, okay, I understand. We just prayed. I'm going to try to be. No, man. I looked at last time, Toya Tucker jumping on the city manager. You know what I'm saying? And like she know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? For real. And look at her district. Look at the south side and the east side. And then the other two guys, they sitting there like knots on the log, ain't saying nothing. Then they're gonna jump the police chief, and he just got there. He just got there. Seth Brown been spending all this money. They just gave $500,000. Just gave $500,000 to the health department. Where's that money? Who's losing that money? They're high. Listen, Jay, you better go to a commercial, man. Because we got a guest today. We got a guest today. We go. I'm just saying, man. It just. I love our people, man. I love all humanity. But when you're right, you're right, and when you're wrong, you're wrong. And that's my whole thing. Is that, it's our responsibility. Everybody say, well, it starts in the home. Well, you kind of right, but a lot of people have a good home life, but soon you walk out the door, all hell breaking loose. You walk out in hell. So you got to have the neighborhood and the community got to be with you. Back in the day, that's what my point. Back in the day, so your mama wasn't at work. I mean, your mama was at work, and you were there by yourself. You ain't worry about nobody going to your house, cause the neighbor's gonna say, "Hey boy, girl, you know your mama ain't over there. What you doing over there?" You know what I'm saying? And then when your mama comes and say, "Do you know that so and so tried to come over your house, and I told him to get out your yard?" And your mom gonna say, "Thank you, Lord," and I'm gonna get in here and let him understand. He better not have no, or let her understand she don't need no. You follow me? Right. That's the way. So it ain't just the home; it's the village. It's the village. That
village aspect.
Yes, it's the village, man.
Lack.
Yes, sir.
In a major way.
Oh, brother, I tell you, I'm about to take some blood pressure pill, man.
Oh, we don't need that. We don't need that.
I mean, man, think about these things. My frustration is we can do something about it, Jay. Yeah. We can fix this. We can do this.
Yeah.
But people, they're so greedy and needy and thirsty that they will sell out the community. Yes. The blind leading the blind. They know they don't know, but they don't know what they don't know. So they want to walk around like turkeys, like they know something just because you won a popularity contest to get on the city council. That's a popularity contest. That don't mean you no expert on nothing. Other than you had the time to get out here and you had no job to do, so you had time to get out here and campaign for a popularity contest.
Right.
Come on, listen. I mean, I don't listen. Listen, the bottom line is this. Okay? If you're doing right, I'm gonna say you're doing right. If you're doing wrong, I'm gonna say you're doing wrong. That's my job. Now, if you do your job, then you don't have to worry about what Dr. Hood's saying, okay? Because you're not doing your job. You're doing what you want to do. You're not asking the community what they want. You're not asking the community what they need, okay? So that's the thing about it. We got too many traitors, intellectual traitors, political traitors, economic traitors, social traitors. I mean, that's, and what I'm saying to you is that that's a disservice to the next generation.
It is. Yeah.
All these children running around here trying to steal and rob and sell drugs for a job. Why? Why not to give them an after-school job? No, I don't want to hear nobody. I'm tired of hearing the Urban League talking about we're going to have so many jobs during the summer. Or Goodwill talking about how many jobs. No, I want year-round jobs. Well, during the summer, might not make it to the. Yeah, I might be in the YDC by the summer.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Give me a job now. See, so that's the kind of thing, man. We got to figure it out. But so hopefully, let's say, yeah. Well, I guess we can get. Can we pull Judge Harry Bolton around? Is he showing up yet? Okay, he's ready. Okay, there he is, right there. Okay, so yeah, so we're ready to jump on in there. So and I really appreciate to have my my co-partner in here with me today, and of course, Brother Julian does a great job. You know, but you know, like I say, he's an apprentice. And so you know, but he tightening it up. There's few little things he got to tighten up. You know, so
getting it going.
yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So you know, he gonna get it right too. That's one thing about Julian. He wants to get it right.
Yeah,
so
he is.
Yeah. So he's dedicated. So I appreciate it, and so I'm glad to have his supervisor today. You know, so we've got a few extra details,
Yeah.
right? So we want to bring him on, and we can go on and get with the. Oh yeah, do we have his little video? Okay, we're gonna play his video. Then right after the video, we'll bring him on in. Want to? Is up to you. He's already ready. Okay, we go with him now. We'll play the video after the break. Hey, Judge, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you doing?
Hey, you know, I don't know. Well, you have some idea. You know how those of us in the media, how we have to make sausage.
I do, and I'm learning more and more. But you're doing a great job, and it tastes good.
No doubt about it. So you know, we I tell people at time, you know, right? We don't try to even put on. We don't try to have. We just try to let it be just like you sitting in the living room, you're on the corner. We just kind of keep it real around here. We just keep it regular,
good.
keep it real. And if it's smooth out, it's smooth out. If it don't, then it's real. You know, like they talk about rap. Then this is real.
And that's quite all right. I call it straight with no chaser.
There you go. And again, it's indeed a pleasure to have it. Actually, I think that probably half of Columbus, Georgia need to be listening today. But I think what we're going to have to do is that we probably have to bring you on like Joe Brown. We got to bring you on the regular some kind of way and pick up different topics with this, because you know how devastating the issue of poor, well, I'm saying poor, but it's really a lack of positive co-parenting is doing in our community. And you know what the fact, the impact of a lack of, and again, I won't go so much about, okay, you can have a wholesome family, even though they might not have a contract, but they still can have decent relationship and create an environment for their children to be able to have a healthy views about relationships. Don't you think?
Well, we see the effect of not having it every day.
Right.
We see the effect of a person who is old in age, but still young in mind, because they are emotionally tied up. And the result is because they have been raised, and often not raised, to be a whole person. And that's what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate you having me on. My message is simple and it's very clear. We have got to change the paradigm and idea of what child support really means. It's much more than the money. It's creating a brand new human being. And the model that we've used thus far has left us in a society where we hear murder every day because people who aren't together. Now, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's a great time to start off with it, because mental health does not just come on you one day. It is something that can be developed over time because of an environment and because of trauma. And a lot of time that trauma is the way we were brought up. You know, I was on the show earlier this morning, and I said that, you know, trauma for us was getting that belt and them britches really bombarded by a strong hand because we did something wrong. Now,
let me say this something also. Trauma was also being sent out into the wood to get your switch, and then if you brought the wrong one, then they went and got a tree.
But you know, it was a healthy one. It was a healthy one. I don't know too many people in our society that weren't subject to discipline.
That's right.
And unfortunately, my first appointment was on juvenile court in 1995, and that's when we saw
what district are you in, Judge? Just for the record, again, let's be very just for hold your point. But tell us a little bit about where you are, what court you're a part of, and what kind of legal work that you do prior to becoming a judge.
Well, I am in Fulton County, which is where I was born and bred in Atlanta, Georgia. Started practicing 37 years ago. I spent from 1995 to 2020 on the bench, and then I retired. I've been a prosecutor, I've been a defender, I've been in business, but more than anything, I've been a father of 9 children. And I have understood and seen the fact that people just don't understand what we do and don't do in terms of this family dynamics.
Right. Yeah.
Where I am right now is I am retired, and that means I can say what I want to say, when I want to say it, how I want to say it. And I have chosen to focus my energy on changing the definition of child support because we see it too much.
Exactly.
We see older people who have never gotten over the trauma that they've suffered. And all of us have a part in it to a degree because we do and we model after what we were modeled. And all of it's not right. All of it's not wrong. But when you have a combination of the government coming in and taking the authority away from parents, and all of a sudden introduce them to a new era of timeout, and you can speak your mind and any way you want to, and the disrespect and everything else, and the internet, which puts more influence on our children's minds than they are able to handle, then we got a problem.
Exactly. I do a little workshop that I call "Do You Want the Man or the Money?" And basically, what I'm saying is that real mothers, they have to make a true choice that's in the best interest of their child. And my point is that if you get the money, you might not get the man, but if you get the man, then you're gonna get the money and the man. You're gonna get a father and the money. So you got to be wise. And I tell the guys, I just went into the prison today because I do the fatherhood initiative. And I told them, I said, look, you all got to be better choosers as to where you leave your sperm, because you better leave your sperm somewhere that is going to be respected. So therefore, if something don't go right in the relationship, you all still respect each other enough to be able to continue to co-parent and to understand that you got to prepare this child to be able to survive in a very hostile world.
You're speaking facts. One of the issues that we share together is that, unfortunately, our society as it has gone, will raise a man but train a female. They raise men, but they train women, and they train women to do things and to understand things that we just don't know. And as a result, there's an unequal binding there.
Right.
Let me
just jump in right here. I just, as a psychologist, I just want to just share this with you. See, one of the things that I say is that that you might be grown as an adult male, but in order for you to become a man, that carries certain other types of spiritual, mental, and emotional maturity. So therefore, all adults are not men and all females are not women until they have crossed the river of womanhood and crossed the river of manhood. Then they begin to relate to each other in a whole different way. So I just wanted to share my language with you a little bit.
And I agree with that. And the ultimate teacher is experience, and the ultimate test is time.
That's right.
So we talking about that maturity that has to come with the experience of understanding why we were told certain things.
That's right.
And why we unfortunately should have followed them. Now, where we are now is as far as I'm concerned, where we are now is what do we do to try to turn it around? You in speaking about going into the prison, you are using the adage, reach one, teach one. And
That's right.
you cannot do without that. But from a systemic standpoint, I was asked earlier, where do we start? And I said, in my opinion, let's start off by putting social studies back in elementary school. Let's start off by teaching the responsibility from a societal standpoint when we're early. And let's take that all the way up. We put sex education in high school without understanding the foundation that it comes from at home.
Exactly.
And there's a disconnect.
Exactly. You know, one of the things that I found, I was blessed, and just to add to this, is in addition to what you just said. When I was in elementary school, we had a lot of men teachers. Okay, men teachers in the elementary school. Yeah. So early on, we had those mentors. Now these days, you don't find many male elementary teachers. Okay, but when I did, we did have them early on, and that made a difference in terms of how we developed, how we operated and behaved at school, and also our aspirations, because we had that conversation, even if we didn't have a dad at home.
It was that model. It was that model that we lack too often right now. You know, I applaud you for everything that you're doing and how you're doing it. And I will just get back to the point, we need to change the thought process.
That's right.
And that necessarily involves changing the language. Mm-hmm. I would call it, instead of child support, I would call it child investment.
That's right.
Okay.
You must have been in my class today. And we having a conversation. But I just told the guys today that I said, look, your child is an investment and you are an investor. That's what I just told them today.
And that's the greatest investment you can make.
That's right. And I
can you, and I can imagine, but can you imagine a place at a time where men over an overall society were actively involved with their children and their families, and the rate of non-custodial parents was low?
That's right.
I mean, when we were coming up, we really didn't even know about divorce. It was not on TV. Right. It was not, this spectacular emotional thing.
Exactly right.
And to get there, something has to change. The money is obvious. So it ain't nothing funny when you ain't got no money. And if you don't pay it, somebody gonna pay it. And that's the government right now. And that's why they will come after you if you don't do it. But there is a smart way to do it when you are investing in a human being that in 18 short years will be in a position to take off and do something totally different. And we need that. We need that investment aspect. We need to understand that the money is a given, but you have choices. We all have choices. I told someone the other day, one choice is the difference between a 6-pack of beer and a 6-pack of Similac. You still get the 6-pack, but that baby has to eat.
That's right. That's right.
And talking with that other parent, child support includes parent support, parental support. When that other parent, even though you may not be an item anymore, when that other parent feels secure, feels confident, feels assured that you are there helping them, doesn't that make that child feel a whole lot wholer and better?
Much better. And then also what I found is that, because over the years, I know you're familiar with this, the Fatherhood Initiative over the years. And one of the problems one of the things that I've been working with over the years, and matter of fact, I helped develop here in Columbus, called a legitimation station. In other words, as you know, in the state of Georgia, only right to you have for paying child support is the right to pay child support, unless you legitimate.
There you go.
And many times, unfortunately, we've gotten this social service system it has evolved in a manner whereby people think, well, I just want to get a check. I just want to be able to get an extra check, for the extra children, and I want to get my child support check, but I don't need him. Okay, so somewhere along the line, that mother gave them the wrong impression, because I also hear today too many females saying, oh, I should be getting a gift on Father's Day. You lost your ever-living mind.
Well, it's a thing about education and understanding. That piece you did right now is most important. Rights. What are father's rights? You have none unless you establish them.
That's right.
You can get them. And thus, if you don't establish them, you give up your control to do anything, and you're subject. You're subject to the authority of someone who does have control. So it's an issue of educating our young men and our young women. Now, one of the most amazing issues that I address, if a young lady wants to really solidify the worth and the time and the energy it takes to raise a child, she should consider giving that child to the father.
That's right.
Yeah, I said it.
That's right.
I
That's
said
right.
it.
That's right.
And the one thing that will make a father stand up and appreciate that young lady is having the responsibility. Now, it has to be safe, because, you know, there's the reality of irresponsibility.
Right.
But the fact that you have to deal with that child 24/7, it makes a big difference in how you approach fatherhood, motherhood, and co-parenting.
Judge, let me say this to you. You know what? You know, like I mentioned to you before, I have 3 cities that prison sites that I go into, and you will be, well, maybe you would be surprised, but you'll be surprised. Many people will be surprised on how many fathers actually are raising the children. But guess what? The mother still want child support.
No. Let me share this with you. I support a company, and let me just share my experience. Okay. I used to sit on what's called abandonment court. And of course, you know, in the state of Georgia, if you don't pay anything toward the health, welfare, and care of that child for at least 30 days, that's a crime in Georgia. It's a misdemeanor. And the mother or the custodial parent can go and file for a warrant for your arrest. Well, I have presided over hearings where you have a custodial parent comes in only to get up to the prosecutor and have that case dismissed. And they are totally livid. They're mad. And it's like, wait a minute, I had to go all through this and only to have my case dismissed? Yes, because people don't know the process. Now, there's a company called GetMyBabyMoney.com.
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 Okay,
now,
I'm checking it out.
Starting a case with the state so you can enforce child support, anybody can do it. The problem is that the minimum application for doing it is 19 pages long.
Wow.
It goes up to 35 pages depending on the status of the custodial parent.
Wow.
Get My Baby Money charges, I believe, $75 for the processing and $25 that they pay directly to the state, and they can finish that application within 30 to 45 minutes, whether it's a 19-pager or a 35-pager.
Okay, let me ask you something, Judge. Okay, let me make sure. I know everybody else did. Let me ask this. You're telling me, I want to make sure I understand. You're telling me that a parent or who can go to the court and file child support, right?
File an application. They file the application for child support in the state of Georgia. You have to start it with the state.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get clear about.
You have to start it with the state, and the state works with the local prosecutors to advance that case.
Okay.
But if you don't go there, you can go to any county and say, I want to file an abandonment warrant, and the county will take your fee. The county will send out a letter. The county will set up a court date, and the county will come back and dismiss that court date if you have not started the application with the state.
Okay, let me make sure I understand because this I want a lot of people hear this because some of my boys locked up. I think they might be listening tonight too. I want to make sure we get this right. You're telling me that are you talking about a mother or father, either one? How set that up for me?
Now, mother or father is a custodial parent.
Well, the custodial parent.
The custodial parent.
It has
Now,
a child, and therefore the father is not available to her for 30 days. Is that what you're saying?
Does not pay any support.
Okay, now this is not because they've been required to, this is just in general.
General, correct.
Okay. So for 30 days, then they can go to the child support office and to apply to request, to make a request to obtain child support. And that's through the prosecutor's office, the district attorney's office will help make that case.
Okay. In the county, at the local level, what they do is called abandonment.
Right.
They don't deal with the issue of collecting child support. That is a state regulated activity.
Okay.
The county only brings the criminal warrant. But in order for the county to be able to advance that criminal warrant, a person must have started a case with the state through Child Support, Department of Child Support Services. A lot of people don't understand that.
Okay, I'm making sure I'm getting it as well. So many people, if the lady or who the custodial parent goes to the child support office and say, look, I've been basically I've got no help with financially or in a way from the dad or from the mother, whoever it is, and I want to file for child support. Now, why would they have to go to the abandonment part? Why can't they just move forward from there?
They can. They don't have to go to the abandonment part, but many people do. I know in Fulton, which is the largest county, you have people who don't understand what the process is. Now, they're not going to go to a county to say, I want to start the child support. They're going to go to a county to say, I want to file for abandonment.
Okay.
Now, this is how it helps on the reverse side. This company has reported to me, and I know it to be true, where men who are accused or who are identified as the potential father.
Right.
We're there?
Right.
But have not had a paternity test.
Right.
They can also go and apply to put themselves on child support. Now, why is that important? That is very important that they do that because they then control the narrative.
Okay.
Everything from financial ability to parental responsibility. Courts love it when men go and file to say, I will be responsible. Now, listen, let me share this with you. If they go and they file for an application to put themselves on child support and they have not gotten a paternity test, the first thing that the state will do is contact the mother and require her to cooperate. I know of 3 cases where when that happened, the mother knew that this person was not the father, did not cooperate, and now the person who applied has been officially identified as a person who is not the father of this child.
Let me go back and let me make sure I understand. You're saying that if Jalen goes to the child support office, they're going to court to the child support office to the
Go
court.
to the child support Department of Family and Children's Services.
Okay.
The Department of Child Support Services.
Okay. So therefore, he's going to tell them, I want to put myself on child support.
Correct.
Okay.
And he has to fill out that long application. And see, that's where you have to get assistance, or you would want to get assistance.
That's what I was trying to find. Okay, so that's where so at that point they're going to give him all this paperwork to fill out.
They can do that. He can do it online, or he can go to this company, getmybabymoney.com, and they will help him fill it out.
Okay. Now, so they, and basically, I guess the only thing he had to do really just kind of put some basic information in and sign his name, right?
Well, he puts basic information in, but it also gets down to the issue of the ability to pay. Basic information starts off with how much do you make?
Right.
Okay. And when I say control the narrative, what happens when a custodial parent who is the custodial parent does it, then the other party now is faced with the fact of having to come up with this information or figure out this information. Or try to manufacture, or however you want to put it. When a person does it, they have the control of going in and putting down information.
So now stick a pin in that for me. So what I'm hearing you say is that it behooves the father. In this case, we don't just talk about father and mother.
Okay.
The father or the potential father to go and say, look, I want to put myself on child support. So the moral of the story is, don't run from this situation, run to it and establish your narrative as to what you want to do and what you are able to do in the beginning, rather than running and then a narrative will be proposed on you and then you will be behind the 8 ball for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Because once you fill this application out, what comes along with it is the required paternity test. What also comes along with it is the ability to legitimate. What then comes along with it is the visitation. The ability to have your child away from this other person in a manner in which you control that.
Right. Now, another thing that I have run into now is that the fathers went to do that, but the mothers refused. They didn't want the father in the life of the child.
They don't have a right for that. They don't. And see, this is what we talked about it. If it is his child, he has the right, and he has to advance that. He has to advance it. So if he goes and says, I want to put myself on child support, I want a paternity test, and a mother says, oh no, I don't want you to deal with it, guess what the state does now? The state starts taking away her benefits.
Okay.
See, it's a double-edged sword. Everybody got to be responsible in this thing.
Right. Because I guess another thing that happens many times with the father is that, for example, there are people who have, now, again, I guess they had a good lawyer, I guess, but there are people the guys who are locked up, and they get a letter basically saying that that someone's going to adopt your child because she's going to get remarried or what have you. And so she's going to, they're going to adopt your child unless you show up for court. And of course, they're locked up, so they can't show up for court. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Okay. from the aspect of someone adopting a child, first and foremost, it's the same process. In order for you to step in, you ultimately are going to have to legitimate that child, okay, to establish your parental rights. The logistics of a notice that's given to you while you are in jail, guess what? In jail, you're able to correspond with the court. You're able to write down and say, I don't agree with this. You're able to advance your position. And once the court receives it, it's obligated to acknowledge it. And those are the county, those are just like any other county benefit, or it wouldn't be a benefit, but it would be if you're in jail. They transport you to court for that if you have a court hearing. And if you don't have it, that's why they have public defenders. You can request it.
Okay,
Now,
so now how if Jalen is incarcerated, and
okay.
so how does he just respond to the letter and say, I would like to be in court. Can you provide a passage for that? How does he request that?
He puts it in writing and he submits it to the court. That's the simplest way I can explain it. Okay. You have to respond to a notice. If you're given a piece of paper that says this is in this information, this is what's going on, due process requires two things. One, that you be given notice, and two, the opportunity to be heard. You have to advance it. You can't sit back and just ignore it. You can't sit back and say, oh, I can't do this or that. And let's just say it's an instance where they couldn't find them. You can still come back and say, I was incarcerated, or you could say that I was not heard, and it could be brought up. See, this is what I'll share with you. The court is extremely objective in terms of the laws. The laws apply to everyone. What people have to understand is the application of the law, how it is applied. And if the paperwork is in place and one is advancing their rights, they are going to be heard.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Judge. I tell you, again, we're going to talk offline because we're going to have to help you, because you know this is a big problem. But let me ask you this last question here for today. One of the problems that we find is that a lot of fellows that are locked up, they're incarcerated, right? Mm-hmm. But the child support is continuing, knowing that they're incarcerated and they can't pay it, they can't work. So what do you have? What is your thought about that?
Well, the reality is it's like a credit card. Once you get the debt, it's going to continue to grow. You see, what happens is this.
Way to deal with that? I guess that's really what I'm asking. What would be the best way to deal with that? I mean, it's not that you don't want to, but you're locked up, you don't have a job, okay? But the child support is increased, so therefore, maybe when you went in, it was $3,000. When you come out, it's $15,000.
Okay, there are things you can do. Say you went in, you got out, now you're getting yourself together, okay? You might want to go in and ask for a modification of the support,
right,
based upon circumstances.
Okay.
You might want to go in after you have legitimated, and you might want to go in and ask for a change of custody status. Some people have joint custody, some people have primary custody, some people have sole custody. You may want to go in and ask for deviations based upon other things that you're able to do, i.e., pay the child support, pay the child care, pay, work something. The biggest thing is this: you need a lawyer for this, though, right? I mean,
to really be able to make a good case, to be able to, like, say, 'cause, see, what you're saying now, I've been saying this for years. That is, I'll babysit, or either I'll take care of the babysitting, okay, and in lieu of, the other part. And how do we navigate that? How do we negotiate that?
All of that goes into the makeup of that paperwork when it comes down to your budget and submit it to the court. What are the costs of the child care? If you contribute that, isn't that child support?
It surely is. Certainly is.
Okay. You want that to be what? Acknowledged and counted as child support.
Right.
The biggest file that I share with people to get is the most biggest and sophisticated file I share with non-custodial parents to get is a shoebox, and put every receipt that you pay for your child in there. So when you advance to the court and say that I've paid, you're able to show them that paper trail.
Okay.
See, judges are not, insensitive.
Right. Okay, along that line, okay, for example, there are guys that say, well, even before they got put on child support, I've been paying child support, okay? Or either when they're on child support, they give her extra money. Okay.
Get it through Zelle. See, when you go into a court system, it's just like, let's use the analogy of any sports game. There are rules to that game. Okay. And you have to know the rules. And what the court looks at is evidence. And evidence is brought forth either what comes out the mouth or what is tangible.
Okay.
You're putting a receipt is a tangible proof that you paid. Don't give anybody cash.
Okay, Judge, you know how valuable this is. And that's why I'm digging in. Again, we're going to get back together, okay? And I think that here in this county here, in this area here, plus across the state, we need more of this conversation here, okay? So can we kind of see how we can liaison this, because we got to dig into this, because I deal with it all the time. This is why I do this,
Absolutely.
And so, and these guys, and they try to get out on their feet, but they're so much in the hole. Many times they get disgusted, because they come out, with that thing on that bell on their back, and they're saying, well, look, hey, so they're still running. And so
it lessens the wholeness of the child, because once the dad is frustrated or the non-custodial is frustrated, the custodian is frustrated, what can you expect from the child?
Okay, that's going to be the last word there, but coming soon within the next month, can you come back?
Absolutely. I'm a call away. Okay,
appreciate you so much. Brother. This didn't that nail all on the head. All right. Thank you. Right. Again, that's Judge Harry Bolton. And you're on YouTube. On YouTube? What's your thing?
I'm on YouTube at Judge Harry Bowden. And go to my website, childsupportcourttv.com.
Okay, we got you.
Childsupportcourttv.com, where you can find out a lot of information. I'm also on Patreon, called childsupportcourttv.com.
Thank you so much. God bless. Peace.
All right, now.
Zuri. Peace, soul, love, with a little sprinkle of power. Ain't nobody do it like we do it. Good night. Smooth R&B. Boy, this child support thing, we coming back with this. We coming back. Hey, better get your questions in, though. Get your questions in. Because we're gonna talk to the judge about this stuff. Get it right for you, bro. All right, brothers. Jay, you all right?
We good, Doc.
All right, man.
Like the people are saying in these comments, we definitely need more of that conversation.
Okay. We're going to get to you too, baby. Because I know they touch a whole lot of people. Love y'all. And by the way, Southern Soul, Memorial Day weekend, going to give away tickets next week. Coco, J-Lie, and a few other, we're going to show them some love coming up here. And of course, that's a guy named Uncle Daddy or something. They're telling me Uncle Dad is the stuff. So I'm going to find out. Again, see y'all later. Peace, soul, and power. Lots of love with a little sprinkle of power. We the people, for the people, love the people, all day, all night. Thank you.